Welcome back to another chapter of Upcycling the American Dream, the story of Hamilton v. Vortic. I'm R.T. Custer. Make sure that you stay tuned to the end, where I let you know the best way to follow along and see the next chapter. So we went to court February 19, 2020. We stayed the night before at some kind of Marriott somewhere in
Chinatown.
Near Chinatown, in New York City, so we could walk to the courthouse. And so this would have been February 18, the night before. We got in fairly late, went to the hotel, and I remember we got a couple of beers from like the fridge next to the front desk. I can see it in my head. Like first, you remember the lobby of that hotel was weird. Like it was the first floor was just a little fridge, a check-in desk, and an elevator. And then there were stairs up to the second floor. And the second floor was like more what you'd expect out of a lobby. They had the business center, and they had definitely not a restaurant, but just like probably the breakfast area.
It was the breakfast area.
That's where we were sitting. We grabbed a couple of beers, and we basically sat down to prep. I remember being really nervous, like no idea what to expect, and you trying to walk me through like what it's going to look like, what we're going to have to do, like just checking in. I think he said like it feels like going through airport security because, you know, it's a federal building, and I think the weight of it all started to really like get to me. So you were like, all right, well let's practice. You know, what do you call that normally? Like running through questions.
Yeah, it's just, I would call it preparation for what to expect. Because, as we discussed, it's usually pretty intense. And this is a little insight to the trial. They did it by what they call direct testimony, which was we had countervailing affidavits. And then everybody got to get cross-examined. As opposed to actually having the testimony going first. So you had an affidavit that was fairly lengthy that the court took, and we admitted that as our first exhibit. So really what I was anticipating for the trial was a really rough cross-examination. I remember just telling you to tell the truth and make sure you tell your story and don't let them interrupt you. I pretty much never say this to any clients. But the way you tell a story is compelling and sincere, and it's even evident from the court's ruling that your testimony is really, I think, in large measure what won the case. I told you just tell your story, and I was not ever hearing anything that would be damning or, you know, problematic from your testimony. Because again, it comes down to the basics. You wanted to create this amazing piece of art to preserve history. That was your sole intent and continues to be. So I said to you, if they give you running time to talk, I'm not going to object, and I'm just going to stand back and listen.
And I remember that, and I remember thinking like, okay, well, that is one of the things I'm good at is talking, so maybe I'll just keep talking. And just thinking how like funny that is. And I believe you said in that moment, like, I don't normally say this, but
I think it might have said I never tell my clients this.
Yeah.
The thing that I thought was fascinating and going to the trial aspect of it, the judge was totally engaged with your testimony. And it's very rare that you see a judge leaning over the bench and just looking at you and saying, okay, and then asking you questions, which I thought was very interesting. She had a lot of questions for you. I read them as more follow-up questions rather than what I would call further cross-examination. And, you know, I can only speculate what the judge was thinking, but it was clear that your testimony was what this whole case hinged on. Period.
Yeah, and it was interesting trying to imagine what that room would look like and what it would feel like and who would be there and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, I knew I had some friends coming, and no amount of prep work could have truly prepared me for like the feeling of sitting in that room. I'm really glad we did that. And I think the thing that changed my viewpoint on it was obviously all this stuff you just said, but when we talked about how they would accuse me of things. I remember you peppering me with questions of just like, they're probably going to say something like this, or they're probably going to accuse you of this, and, referencing the case and all that kind of stuff. And I remember thinking to myself, like, okay, I just have to make sure I don't get flustered by that and get annoyed by that, because these people don't know me. They don't seem to know what we're really doing. And so if I can actually just do what you said and just sit there and like actually tell the story, this is my one opportunity to get it all out there. Because I think, and obviously the reason you took the case is when we both sat there and looked at the true facts, we're taking a pocket watch and turning it to a wristwatch, and we're not altering anything in the inside. Everything inside is old, everything outside is new. And like telling that story is what I love. It's why I do those. I'm every month I'm somewhere else doing a trade show or an art show or something like that. And so I tried to just think about it like, okay, let me, they say like, picture the audience as naked or something like that. It's like, I remember thinking like, picture the judge as a customer. I never sell our customers. I just tell them what we do in such grave detail. And Tyler talks about this all the time. He says, the more you learn about Vortic, the more you want to buy one, which is very different than most companies, because the more you go into a lot of companies and how things are made and all that kind of stuff, like, like, oh, I don't know if I like that. And so that, I remember thinking about that beforehand, saying like, okay, if she lets me talk and I can just get to the bottom of like, this is what we do. If she fully understands what we do and she still says it's wrong, and the federal government says that we can't take a pocket watch, turn your wristwatch, fuck it.
Yeah.
That's my life work, and it's wrong, right? And that means it's over and we do something else. But why would that happen? The law, in our opinion, didn't say that. And, spoiler alert, in her opinion, didn't either. So, well, again, thank God.
Yeah, and the other thing I would say on the preparation is, and kind of an aside here, is we actually did have a pretrial hearing, and I suggested you go to the pretrial hearing just to give the judge a vision of who you were, basically. But I think that was the first time you kind of got an idea of how austere the courtroom is.
I forgot about that.
How formal it is. And if you remember, when you just even, I think when you go through the courtroom, there were like big gold doors or something. It's very intimidating. It's stark. It's very, it's not like, it's kind of like going to the dentist's office and you're expecting a tooth being removed or something. And I think going there and kind of preparing you for that space that you were in, and some of the awkwardness of the courtroom, because they had it set up in a certain way that was very unusual for courtrooms, but that helped too. And again, telling your story is what mattered most in the trial, and you didn't get rattled, and you stayed your course. And that's how you've always been in my working with you, is you have the vision of what's out there. Do you have some hurdles in the way? Yeah, but let's figure out what to do with those.
We always say, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We really got to put that in the wall in here somewhere. We'll figure it out. Thanks for watching another chapter of Upcycling the American Dream. It's important to note that all the viewpoints, stories, and facts shared in these chapters are coming from me, myself, and I, Robert Thomas Custer. They are mine alone and are not shared by Vortic LLC, Vortic Watch Company, and its related parties. For our full legal description and our full legal disclaimer, go to vorticwatches.com/victory. You'll also find at that link a special offer and a link to pre-order our upcoming book. Again, vorticwatches.com/victory.